I am the bone of my soul. So, as I pray, unlimited blade walks.
After an impressive performance from Saber, here comes Archer to show us what he's made of. Taking a slightly different interpretation of Emiya, Hoyoverse has given every player access to an absolute monster. In his current state, I'd even go as far as to say he's the best single-target DPS in the game. And not only that, his arrival has also revived a long-forgotten support, one who's been benched for months due to failing to compete with the newer ones, Sparkle. Thanks to Archer's kit, Sparkle finally has a teammate who brings out her full potential again. Now, this version of Archer is quite different from the Fate Stay Night version many fans are familiar with. No, I'm not referring to his clothes. I'm talking about his gameplay. Hoyoverse clearly wanted to step away from the long-running joke within the Fate community that Archer class really isn't made of archers. So instead of a swordsman disguised as an archer, this Emiya actually spams his bow skills, firing arrows non-stop. This shift gives him a unique playstyle that feels very different from other versions of him in games like CCC, FGO, or Fate Extella. For players used to the usual interpretation of Emiya, it might feel a little awkward at first, but they'll get used to it over time. That being said, even with all the gameplay changes, Hoyoverse still shows clear respect for the source material. Just like how Saber retained her iconic mana burst, Archer's signature skill from Fate Stay Night Circuit Connection also made it into the game. In fact, his entire gameplay is built around it. Archer's unique trait is that his skill costs 2 skill points, making him one of the most, if not the most, skill point-hungry characters in the game. When Archer uses his skill, he enters a special state called Circuit Connection. In this state, his turn doesn't end, and he can continue using his skill until either the team runs out of skill points, or he's used the skill 5 times. This state isn't interrupted by ultimates or by defeating enemies. It only breaks when transitioning to a new enemy wave. Each time Archer uses his skill, the next skill's damage increases by 100%, stacking up to 2 times. So essentially, his third skill hit is the first one that reaches full power. To take full advantage of this, players should aim to have at least 6 skill points ready before his turn. Having that many skill points bring another benefits. When the team's skill points exceed 4, Archer gains crit damage buff that will further amplify his damage output. That's basically it about this character. There's no secret trick, but it's a totally different experience from most characters. Usually we can complete MOC or other endgame content without meticulous skill point planning. Even Imbibitor Looney wasn't this demanding. With Archer, however, skill point management is everything. It doesn't have to be perfect planning, but optimizing skill point allocation will dramatically boost his damage potential, making him a highly strategic character that benefits from manual control. This philosophy directly shapes his team building. Since he focuses on turning skill points into damage, his teammates should focus on skill point recovery. This is where Sparkle comes in. She is the best skill point generator in the game, and the higher skill point cap that she provides directly impacts how many consecutive skill Archer can use. That said, not having Sparkle doesn't make Archer unplayable. Archer's own kit includes a mechanic to help ease the burden. After using his ultimate, he gains 2 charges, up to 4. When an ally attacks, he consumes 1 charge to fire a follow-up attack and restore 1 skill point. It's a helpful passive, but nowhere close to Sparkle's efficiency. Without her, we need to select teammates that can be played while being skill point positive, such as Ruin Mei, Gallagher, Remembrance MC, Tribby, or Luocha. Actually, Sunday works too, but too many DPS want him already, so I try to recommend other characters first. There is a high chance that you run 2 teams that both want Sunday these days. As an alternative to Sparkle and Sunday, I personally recommend Ruin Mei and Remembrance MC. Both are great supports that don't eat skill points and still boost Archer's damage reliably. Remembrance MC is a free unit, and Ruin Mei, as well as her light cone, is accessible in the shop. Archer's simplicity doesn't stop here. It extends to his gear choices as well. There's no need to stress over light cones, because Hoyoverse literally gives us his signature after we reach 200 pulls on the special banners. So there's no reason to consider alternatives. This light cone is excellent, even if it's somewhat tailored specifically for him. As for his relic set, here's some good news. He wants an old set. While newer characters usually force us to farm into freshly released domains just to unlock their full potential, making us stuck in farming hell, Archer is perfectly happy with the good old Quantum set. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have decent pieces collecting dust in our inventories at this point. I know I did, and I can't even remember the last time I farmed for Quantum gear. For planar ornaments, Rudolent Arena is his best option, but Inert Salsado also works just fine if you have better substats there. Now, I know we all get Archer for free, and E0 might be enough to clear the current endgame content. But hear me out, his Eidolon one offers incredible value, especially when it comes to skill rotation. With E1, it becomes much easier to chain 3 to 4 skills in a single turn, even without Sparkle. It also gives you a wider margin for error, which really helps if you're trying to squeeze out maximum damage while carefully managing your skill points. So if you really like this character and happen to have some extra stellar jades, I genuinely think E1 is worth considering. And that wraps up my review of Archer. Just like Saber, he's an incredibly solid unit. Thank God these collab characters didn't end up like a certain mountain girl who exists purely as a trophy in other game. Honestly, I was worried the Fate characters would be nothing more than collection units with flashy animations and no real value. But I'm relieved to say that's not the case at all.